What's up, guys? Thanks for watching. Would appreciate a like, subscribe, comment down below. Would love to see you engage, and thanks for watching. Okay, so following our kids, the fourth element of our social contract, there are four of them. So the fourth element of our social contract, the new American social contract that needs to be renewed, is that the highest good in society is the flourishing of the nuclear family. Again, if I were king of this country, if I were to fix one thing about America, it would be to elevate the flourishing of the family, of the nuclear two-parent heterosexual family, as the number one priority of every person important to societal structure, politics, culture, whatever. Because the family, as it has been rightly pointed out by people, has been under assault for a very long time. With no-fault divorce, with bankruptcy, with financial reasons, with custody battles, with inability of young people to get financially stable and start families and buy homes and everything else like that, with school costs, with college costs, with everything like that. So what most people view as problems in the world, so we talked about a lot of this earlier, whether it's like mental health or dating or finances or affordability or college or education or obesity. What that can be traced to is a problem with the family, a brokenness in the family, an inability for a healthy family to produce healthy kids and healthy effects on the broader community. Because the family is the greatest. Jason Whitlock had this great quote: the nuclear family is undefeated when done right. And he's right about that. Vivek Ramaswamy said, the nuclear family is the most important governmental institution, a governing body in the history of the world. He's absolutely right about that. And the fact that the family has been so degraded, and we'd have so few people talking about this. Like, thank God for people like the two I just mentioned, even though Jason's made a lot of mistakes in this area. Vivek, J.D. Vance, the people who are talking about the family. And so I believe this is the biggest sin. I did a monologue about this a couple months ago about how the United States government's greatest sin is the destruction, the systematic elimination of the black nuclear family. And I do think that's the biggest sin that our government has done, is they've destroyed the black nuclear family. But they've also, broadly speaking, the biggest sin our government and our culture broadly has committed is the devaluation and the systemic destruction and eradication of the nuclear family. And it's incentivized at so many levels of our culture, so many levels of our politics, encouraging divorce, feminism, the red pill, all these things. And now what this is manifesting in is what young people believe now is that it is culturally and societally disadvantageous for young people, young men, and young women, for some combined, some different reasons, to start a family, to be a part of a family, to be a wife, to be a husband, to be a mother, to be a father. And I think this has been really a top-down approach that started with my parents' generation. Because I think Gen X, I was raised by two Gen Xers. I think Gen X was the first real, fashionable divorce culture that happened. I think it was still kind of taboo when the boomers did it, but it was crazy how many friends that I had with parents that were divorced. And especially, we're in the disability community because of my sister, and the amount of, the disability rate or the divorce rate for disabled families is above 85%. You can look that number up. And the divorce rate is above 50%, even though that's mixed or whatever. And I don't think a lot of that's true. But it's just it's just so common. And divorce is just one thing, but divorce is the, again, all conflict is a manifestation of not feeling heard, miscommunication, etc. And so, but if we fix the family, if we re-emphasize the family, if my generation of young people desire marriage, desire family, desire having kids, desire raising those kids, desire discipling those kids, desire being present for those kids and for each other, by the way, keeping the marriage first and foremost inside of the marriage. This will not only help sort out the problems we have with our culture, but it will also sort out the problems, a lot of the problems, I would argue, we have with the quote-unquote meaning and the quote-unquote purpose gap. Like, I love that phrase because I hate that phrase. But I think it's such an interesting thing to observe because the meaning and purpose is found in responsibility. Jordan Peterson got this right 10 years ago. And by the way, a lot of people like Jordan Peterson have gotten it right for thousands of years. Meaning and purpose is found in caring for other people. So when you look at our young people, my generation and the generation above me and below me, and see a bunch of, I don't feel like my life is meaning. I don't feel like my life has purpose. I don't know what to do with my life. Marry someone and make babies. You will find your meaning. You will find your purpose. Trust me. And I don't even have it. And I see it with a lot of my friends are married. A lot of my friends have kids. Like I had my two best friends from high school that I still talk to. They both had kids within the last year. And they're like, dude, you don't know what it is until you know what it is. I talk with, older folks who have kids that are my age or around my age. They see the exact same thing. So if we take the eyes off of, again, not the fruit of our broken social contract, but the root of our broken social contract, and we put our focus onto the root, onto the things that matter, the family being primary among them, Americans will be far better off and far happier than they currently are. Far happier than they currently are. Because again, happiness, meaning, purpose is found in caring for other people. It is found in responsibility. It is found in all of those things. And again, this is a quote-unquote controversial point, but this is the reality of the situation from everything that I've seen, everything that I've read. A society that is built off of, wait for it, strong, heterosexual, two-parent families who pass on their values, particularly Christian conservative types. That is what society is built off of. That's what it's always been built off of. Europe, Africa, Asia. The formula is undefeated. It is absolutely undefeated. And the interesting thing is that most of the demographic of this demographic, of people that I just mentioned, they all believe this to be true. They all know this is true. They all believe in the same thing. They all know it at a base level, even if they would be petrified to admit it in public. They all know that it's true. So, if we encourage that through family formation, through encouraging young people to couple up, get married, have kids, and if we put pressure on our institutions in the culture to put the family at the top pinnacle of all of this, and we pass it down, we encourage that for our friends, we encourage that for our, the people in our church, the people in our neighborhood, whatever, and we enforce that on our children to keep that same principle, that is how we ensure the American social contract for generations to come. That is how we make it happen for the long run. We will keep that because we've passed it down properly. So if we want America's social contract to heal, to renew, it must be passed down. And the way that we pass it down is by emphasizing to the highest point in society, there is nothing that can happen in America that would be better than the flourishing and the establishment of the American nuclear family. And if we do that, a lot of other things will be solved downstream. Lots of other things.